Good morning and welcome on this Friday morning, running a few minutes late, not unusually. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. And if you are coming on live to join me, it is lovely to have you with me. Do pop on and say hello. Do obviously shout if there's any problems with sound or vision or anything. But it's lovely to have you with us. Do come and let us know where you're coming from, what you're up to. Yeah, catch up on the news. It's always lovely to hear from you. So without further ado, let's introduce me and my little business. So this is me. This is where you'll find me, www.loveaduckie.co.uk. That's my website where you'll find links to classes, you'll find lots of inspiration, you'll find links to shop, all of those sorts of things over on my website. So do go and head over there and have a look. While you're there, do subscribe to my newsletter if you haven't already. And you can also subscribe to the blog so that when I put a new blog post up, the next sort of lunchtime-ish, every day, if there's a new blog post, that email goes out to let people know that there is a new blog post up there. So do subscribe to that as well, so you can keep up to date. Just a reminder that we are in the middle of celebration. So if you shop with me, if you hold some sort of an event that generates sales of £275 or more, or if you decide to join the family, all of those things, and there are wonderful money can't buy freebies on offer for you to pop into your basket at no extra cost for you. So some really lovely things there. So don't miss out on celebration. That will continue throughout August and will end at the end of August. So don't miss out on that in these next few weeks. Let's have a quick look at some classes that are coming up. Actually, I'm going to come to this one first, I think. So we've got a technique class coming up at the end of August using beautiful speciality vellum. So there's a gorgeous pack of 12 by 12 vellum in the July to December mini catalogue. We're going to be using that. And there's also a little 6 by 4 pack of vellum in the annual catalogue. So we're going to be looking at different ways that we can use those speciality vellums in our project. So that's coming up at the end of August. Next week, we have a Ringed with Nature Stamper Stack class. So if you wanted the bundle to go with that class, obviously you might not get it in time for the class, but that's not a problem because you can always use mine, and I'll get that to you as soon as it arrives, or you can have the kit through the post. But if you would still like to join us for that Ringed with Nature Stamper Stack, do let me know. I can make sure to cut you a kit. Coming up on the 20th of August is one of our Saturday stampers, and these run from 10 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. These are in-person events. You come along and I will have created, you have a kit and instructions to create 10 different cards, with a few extra sort of samples there as well to choose from. And it's a bit of a buffet. You can make, using your kit, you can make which cards you like, which take your fancy. And this month, the theme is going to be all at sea. So do come and join us for that sort of sea-themed, water-themed stamper stack, Saturday Stampers that's coming up in August. And let us come back to this one. And this is a few more classes. So potted geranium kit class, that actually is due to run today. But if you would still like a kit, so that is using the potted geraniums kit in the annual catalogue. Gorgeous, gorgeous kit with stamps and dies to match. And if you already have those, or you'd like to add those to the kit, you will get a kit including some DSP and some ribbon and some embellishments and all of the cardstock instructions to make 5 different cards using that geranium kit. And say it was due to be happening in person today, but if you would still like a kit, then do shout and I can organise that for you. We have got an evening version of the Ringed with Nature Stamper Stack, that is happening on the 23rd of August in the obviously in the evening. That's going to be running here at home. So if you are local, I've just knocked my dice on the floor. If you are local and would like to join us for an evening class rather than the daytime, do come and do that. And notification of the October retreat. So do get your name down for that if you would like to come and join us on the 22nd of October for our all-day retreat. So those are all the lovely things that are coming up. Let's come back up here and before we get ready to do some crafting. So let's do a little bit of crafting this morning, and we are going to sort of dabble into that all at sea type theme and have a bit of a play with a stamp set and punch bundle, excuse me, that I've not even yet opened. So nothing unusual there then. So let's bring in my downward facing camera. Let me have a quick slurp of water, got a bit of a tickle. We're going to have a look today at this Let's Set Sail. Now it's in the annual catalogue, page 80, and it consists of a stamp set and a coordinating punch. So the bundle for this is a stamp and punch bundle. And if we just have a quick look at the samples in the catalogue, you've got this rather beautiful looking sunsetty themed card, and then we've got another one here with those diorama dies. So a couple of sets there, and look, you've got a little set. That's obviously one of these boats here, punched out, ready to go down the bottom there. So that's the set that we're going to be playing with this morning, the Let's Set Sail bundle. So without further ado, let's set sail. So here we have the punch, and you can see that the punch consists of, can we get it to a point where it's not reflecting too badly? You've got the main body of the boat here with the mast, and then you've got these two separate sails on this punch that we're going to be able to punch out. And then the stamp set it's quite sort of nice, sort of grungy, almost watercolory effect. Deliberately not got that sort of solid image. You've deliberately got some marks and folds and things in there. Morning, Jane. So you've got two sails. You've got your little boat with your mask and your flag on the top. You've got this sort of little triangle almost of water here, and this larger base of water here. Adventure awaits. Hope it's your best day ever. Let your dreams set sail. And then these lovely little flurry flutter of birds, seagulls or whatever that are flying just there. So where shall we start? I think we will cut ourselves a circle from the very, very useful, very versatile, stylish Shapes dies. This is like a must-have, I think, in our collection. Get myself a little piece of basic white. Rummage around in the oddments box. I'm just going to cut a stitch circle from that. Got dice all over the floor. There we are. We have our little stitched circle. And just pop that scrap in my recycling bin. Now I think we're going to stamp direct onto this little circle. So let's have a look. What colour boat shall we go for? I think we'll go quite bright for this one. Just grabbed some of the in colours. I've got some parakeet party, some sweet sorbet, morning Janet, and some Tahitian tide just there. I'm going to take the boat, pop it on this block. What have we got? A D block. We're going to pop it on D block like that. And I think we'll go parakeet party here with this nice bright green. Let's have a nice juicy ink pad there. Let's have a green boat just there. Let's come in with some sails. I think we'll have those in sweet sorbet. And they sort of bow outwards, so we want them sort of touching top and bottom. I think I did catch that with my ink. I did just there slightly. Never mind, we will work around that. Let's take the other sail. And again, they're going to be billowing outwards in the wind. There we go. Put those just there for a moment. I'm going to take this triangle of sea. We'll bring in our Tahitian tide. We'll have that coming underneath just here. And then I think we'll have our little flock of seagulls. Let's just move those over. Bring this in. I think we want some memento for those. Have those flying in at the top there. So that's a cute little topper, just made up simply with those elements of that boat with the sea underneath. Now let's create a card base for that. So I can grab some Tahitian tide cardstock. I brought all the other blues over with me, but not that one. I'm also going to grab with the in colour paper. Let's have a little look. Spots, checks, stripes and flowers. Now I don't think we want flowers. I think we can rule out flowers. Quite like the check. Quite like the stripe. So I might actually use both of those. Grab my trimmer. Pop the tops on those in a second. I'm going to cut this in half. So obviously in half is actually 14.85. I just tend to take it a notch below, a slight smidgen below 14.9, but not quite 14.8. So there we have our card face, and to that I think we will put some of this checked paper. I'm actually going to give this a matte of white. It's not very often I give things a matte of white, but on this occasion I am. Just put the lids on these ink pads before I dabble something in them, and we all know that I will. Okay. So I'm going to cut this to 14.4 by 10. And my nice checky piece, I'm going to cut to 9.5. Strip might come in useful for something on the inside of a card or something. 13.9. So we will layer those up. And I quite like the way that white makes that sort of check pop out. Take this piece with lines on. I'm going to cut this to 9.5. And it's come to 7.5, which would be about halfway up there. And I'm going to tear it, make it look a little bit wavy, and then I'm going to tear it again to make that bit look a bit wavy. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit of vellum, because we can. I'm going to cut a bit that's about 5 centimeters there, and we want it 9.5 wide. Not sure that little bit will be very useful for anything, but I'm also going to tear this vellum. I want to tear it towards me, really. And I think we'll tear a second piece. So we're just going to add those in here. We'll have this bit coming on the top. Obviously, we've not stuck that down yet. It's still a movable feast. That just gives all of that a little bit of texture and things going on. This little greeting that says, "Adventure awaits." Be quite good if you've got somebody going off to university or on a gap year or new job. Something of that ilk. Bring in just a little scrap of basic white. Ink this up. Looks a bit better. adventure awaits. Now, let's see. Can we die cut that with that? If I could lift myself a big enough scrap of paper. I think so, just about. Sorry, just wiggling it around, lining it up. Perfect. So that little banner piece is also from those stylish shapes. And we'll have that coming in from the side and covering up our little blob. And I think we'll bring in some Grecian tide twine as well. Twine's always very nautical, isn't it? Let's start building this up. A relatively simple morning, Lisa. Lots of just layers and textures and things. Now I think on this beautiful Friday morning we're going to give ourselves a bit of a treat. I'm going to get myself a new tumbler. Let me just grab one. There comes a point when it is no longer worth trying to battle on a live. I can keep them upside down and when I'm doing samples and things, battle to get those last little squidges out. But I think trying to do a live, I think we'll treat ourselves to a new one. Let's bring that on there. And let's bring in these layers. So I'm going to put a bit of Tombow, not putting it on the top of that, and just laying it, the glue on the bottom while I lay this up. I love the fact that although that's the same colour, you get a quite different sort of colour feel for it because of the pattern. I'm just going to run some Tombow along the bottom of my vellum because adhesive will always show through vellum if you're not careful. So let's just tuck that in there. Add a bit of a layer, and then let's come in with this. And again, we won't put that too near the top. I just lift that up slightly, actually, bring it down. About there. Might have been easier to have layered these up before I stuck them down. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Like that, and let's stick all of those down. A little gluey finger mark on there. Let's just bring in. We no longer stock these little adhesives, but they are fairly readily available and are very useful to have in your armour. Or I stick that down. To wrap that around there a couple of times, and we will tie it in a bit of a bow, and then we can wiggle that round to where we want it to be once we've decided. And to put a little bit of glue on that end of this, just bring that in there. I think I'm going to wiggle this all the way around so that the bow is on this side. The benefit of not having stuck anything down yet. Let's give that a bit of a wiggle. And then let's bring in some dimensionals. We've got some big ones, little. It is always the way that when you're looking for big dimensionals, you can only find small ones, and when you're looking for small, you can only find the big. That's okay. I'm going to take a couple of edge pieces. And we will just put those on here. Excuse me. And we'll have one little bit on there. That's going to wiggle that a little bit so that that comes apart before I stick this down. Try and get it so it's sailing straight and not sailing uphill. Let's chop off that edge piece just there. And we'll stick this on our card base. Twiddle that bow a little bit and bring that in slightly smaller. And trim this tail a little bit. And I think let's bring in some of these matte decorative dots. We were using these the other day, but I think we'll bring in some of these Tahitian tied ones. As I said the other day, they are sort of an ombre effect. And let's just put in a few little dots up there. So that's rather cute, bright in colour card. Quite nice and bright. If you're giving it to a young person, it's quite fun and not too fussy. So a little adventure awaits for whatever the adventure is that is waiting for them. Let's hope it's something exciting. So there's one card. Obviously, you can change that greeting out. You can make it a happy birthday. Hope it's your best day ever. All sorts of things that you could add into there. It doesn't have to be an adventure awaits, but kinda. But that one is. So let's bring in my stamping scrub and let's just clean up some of these stamps. There's our little seagulls. Wiggle, wiggle. Give this a spritz before we started. We've actually got some green ink on the block there. So let us get rid of that too. Stamping scrubs are great if you don't want to be using too many baby wipes and things. You want something that is you're just going to be able to keep on using. Stamping scrub is one of your ways to go. Every now and then you just want to wash them under the tap, clear all the ink out, and they're ready to go again. Obviously we've used red ink on these sails. That always stains, but it's okay. It does not in any way affect the use of the stamp. If anything, it makes it easier to see where they are when you're lining them up. As we say, stamps and all these things are tools, not jewels. We need them to be functioning. We don't need them to be utterly beautiful and pristine. In fact, a pristine stamp is a sad stamp because it would suggest that it hasn't been used. We don't want any sad stamps. Right, so that's one card. Now for the other card, I am going to use my punch. So to start off with, I'm going to find some sort of a cardstock. Big enough. That looks as if it's had a wet baby wipe stuff on it. Let's just trim that bit off. Let's take this bit and we are going to use it to create a template. So I'm just going to, is that sticky on there? Just going to punch that out from the center of that piece of card, and this will live then in my Stamparatus bag as a stencil. It is a nice mail card, isn't it, Jane? It's nice and simple, isn't it? So let's pop that just there. Put my magnet on there, and let's come to our. Now this is a great technique. I'm sure many of you will have seen it if you are doing multiples of anything. So what we want to do is we want to turn our stencil over so it's the right way. We're going to lay our stamps in the hole and I'm going to turn take my Stamparatus plate out and turn it round, and then come in with my sails. This one is going to go just there. And this one is going to go just there. And then let's pick those up. So now what we have is we have our template in place just there. And what you can do is go ahead and punch out lots of bits, because it's much easier to take a piece of card and go punch, 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 punch. In fact, let's do more than one. Just find another piece of card and punch. That can just fit in there, just about, I think. Let's punch another set of boats out. So obviously we could go on ad infinitum, but it's far easier just to punch lots of shapes out of a piece of card, because you can see where your gaps are and make much better use of your card. So now we've got two sets of everything there. We've got two sets of sails, we've got two sets of boats, and we have our template just here. So I think with this one, let's have a slightly different colourway. Here we go. Dark Sky, Orchid Oasis, and we're bringing some pool party, I think. So I'm just thinking, no, I'm not. Did you hear me thinking then? Did you hear the crane sticking? We're bringing some Sahara sand. Okay, so what have we got first? We've got our sails. So I think we'll come in with Orchid Oasis on our sails. So I'm going to take my sail pieces. Oh, got a blob on there. Got blobby fingers. That's annoying. Never mind. We shall work around it. I'm going to put my punched out pieces in there. Ink up my sails. Obviously, we could go direct to paper with our markers and make those multicoloured sails if we wanted to. I think I'm going to stick to the same colourway. I think we managed to cover up our blob, which is good. Let's set our sails in there. So you can see if you were doing 50 of these, you'd just keep replacing your sails, keep stamping. And then when we've done all of our sails, we'll swing it round and then we'll do our little boats. So I'm just stopping for a moment to have a think. Just going to bring in pale papaya stamping white marker, and I'm just catching that little flag on the top of the boat. And I'll bring in my Sahara sand and hopefully manage to catch it all. Oh, that little bit on the top. I just want that flag to be slightly different. Perfect. Our little, those lucky fingers. Got our little Sahara, little pale papaya flag on the top. Actually, with this one, I'm going to ink up my Sahara sand. Let's make it a bit easier on myself. I already have lucky fingers, or you could take a bit of tissue or something. I'm just going to wipe the ink off that top bit and add in my flag. Perfect. Let's move that to one side. So I'm going to keep that little stencil. You can use your stencil and just not use it in the Stamparatus. You can do the same thing with having your stamps on blocks. But obviously with the Stamparatus, it's all lined up and you're just ready to go. So there we have a couple of sailing boats. I've deliberately chosen those colours because to one side I've got the Sunprints papers. Just sort of nice nautical themed papers. I quite like that stripe. That's rather fun, isn't it? I don't really want foliage and things on them, but the colours are rather fun. I got any small pieces, those stripes. We've got those sort of spotty bits just there. Sort of rather nice, almost sandy look just here. And I've got Starry Sky. This card up there. I think we can create a card base with. Let's just score it at 14.85, 14.9-ish mark, and fold that. If you put both edges up to the edge of your trimmer, could bring in our bone folder to do that, but our fingers worked quite nicely. Now this pattern has got sort of like, I don't know whether you can pick that up, it's got sort of like a script effect in it. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to take a slice across the top, so my script is running this way, because I think we'll go with a landscape card. I'm going to take this and I cut it down to 6 centimeters wide, I think, by 10. It's just a little over 10. I'll have this stripe coming across here. I think I'm going to grab the deckled rectangles. Grab the deckled rectangles. So these are rectangles that have already got this sort of almost torn edge type effect to them. I'm going to cut one piece in Starry Sky. And the smaller piece in basic white. Oh, what have I just lost down the back there? My glue. My new Tombow. Let's grab that back. Right, let's run these through the machine. So just a reminder, this is one of the sets we're going to be using on Saturday the 20th of August at our Saturday Stampers. If you fancy joining us for that. This also would make quite a fun frame, so I could trim that up and make a sort of scraggly frame for it. Now I think I'm going to come in with our big piece of water, expanse of water, and we will do that in Starry Sky. So obviously this is one of the sets, and in fact all the sets that we're going to be using this particular Saturday stampers, they are great for masculine cards. And obviously the punching stamp bundles always have quite a good price point to them. I think this one is £30.50 for the two. And as you'll know, if you've ever used our stamps, our punches, they are exceptional. Do I think this could be used as a pine tree? Let's stamp the water. Janet? And so I'm going to stamp my water on here. Now what I might do actually, I might take that, I'm going to line up my edges so I don't get any rough lines. And I'm going to stamp that again so that we get sort of a bit of second generation. Could we manage? What would it be like with a third time? I'm going to swing it round. So it's paler still. Okay. We've got some sort of different tonal bits going on in there. Because I think then we could probably have our boats. Have them at different heights. I think we might need our little birds again, don't we? Might stick with the Starry Sky actually. We'll just have those coming in there. Right. Let us stick that to there. Let us stick this to here. And leave a bit of a strip of that paper on that side. So if we wanted to do a similar card to this first one, we could have been tearing some of this Sahara sandpaper to give us a beach effect as well. So I'm just going to have it as a background on this one. Now, I am thinking to myself, now we have a bit of a hoop, a bit of a swirl of linen thread, so it's almost rope-like, just coming out that one side, I think. Just looking, my double-sided tape has gone walkabouts again. I'm sharing one between two, so we'll be extra extravagant today and have a new one of those as well. I think I need to tie it to my desk so I don't wander off with it. Right, let's just, don't want it to be perfect. It wants to look as if it's, well, for want of a better word, ropey. But pop that down there. And I think we'll put some dimensionals behind this bit. I haven't forgotten your pine tree, Janet. I'm coming back to it. I'm going to finish this card off and then we will have a look at a bit of a play. Love a random question. Down there, I've got our bits of rope coming out there. I'm going to take this little boat, just put some blobs of glue on him. We'll have him sailing up here. Take one of the sets of sails. And this one here, oh, don't go walkies. And to take some mini dimensionals for the little sail at the top. I'm just going to take my scissors and cut a slither. Let's cut that in half. And we will add a slither of dimensional along the mast. And have that coming down there and raised, and then we'll put some mini dimensionals on these as well. There. And there. Let's come in with hope it's the best day ever. And come in with Orchid Oasis. You can see where we sort of stamped that off. Oh, got a dimensional back on there that we're inking up. You can see where we stamped that off. It is very orchid oasis-esque, if that is a thing. Right, let's chop that. Just going to cut round this one. And keep the blades still as much as you can on your scissors, and wiggle your card round there. Hope it's your. And then I think we'll keep the dots because that's very sort of Morse code, isn't it? Best dot, day dot. And let's pop those on. So we've taken that sentiment and cut it up. Hope it's your best day ever. Let's find a little something to stick on there. Thank you. You want to keep it relatively masculine. Let's come in with some classic matte dots. I think we might go white. Most cloud-like. Hope it's your best day ever. Obviously that is going to need an insert in it, so we could do a little some sails or a complete boat. Might just go so I've cut this at 9.5 by 13.9. Safe place have I put my stamparatus in that contains my sails, just here. I'm going to take them off of the stamparatus because I'm not punching them out. Let's take the top off of there and add in some the pale papaya. We have a sort of a boat sailing off into the sunset. So I think the sails. I would have messed that block, didn't I? Never mind. That's because I'm sort of doing it on a funny angle off to one side. Just about fits on. Let's bring in a few little birds. We could have just used one of our designer series papers to have decorated the inside. You could also stamp a little boat like that on your envelope to match. There's our little boat inside. There's our boats on the front. So cute cards, we'll come back to those in a minute, because the question on everybody's lips is, firstly, what have I done with that stamp? Here it is. And secondly, could we use it as a pine tree? Now let's bring in our stamping scrub and clean that up. Now, I am wondering, actually, I'm going to ink it up. Got some Evening Evergreen here. I've just cut this piece of card down to 8 centimeters. Was it 8? Yes, 8 centimeters by 14.4. I've inked these up. Now, what I'm wondering is, you could oh, look, got a dimensional on there, so we'll ignore that bit. I've inked it up with a dimensional on it. That will be a place to put your greeting, won't it? That would be one option. Because absolutely, I think you can use them as pine trees. That's using sort of both ends, and you've got almost like a pine tree going across. The other option would be to actually mask some of it off. Let me clean that up, actually. Let's clean that up. Let's take a piece of low-tack tape. And let's mask that bottom piece off, ink up the top, take off your masking tape, always important to remember. And then come in with, I'm just going to grab light soft suede marker there. You could, any markers or anything really. And just, that brush tip's not very good. Let's just give them a bit of a trunk would be another idea. So can you use them as pine tree? Yeah, I think you can. Just ignore that little piece there that is a dimensional. And yes, I think you could use those as a pine tree. Good spot. Nice sort of forest, isn't it? You could have. You could do very similar with that if you wanted to put in the trunks. Just use a wide scrap of paper or something across the bottom, and then just add in all of those trunks underneath. So you could do it that way as well. There you go. So thank you for that question. Fabulous question. Let's come back to the 2 complete cards we've made. Here they are. Very much about the sailing. So one is using the punch well. So this is punched out using the Stamparatus as a mask. And then this one is stamped direct onto that stitched circle, but we've used some torn paper and some vellum to create that sort of sea effect. And then in answer to Janet's fabulous question, we haven't created a card, but we've had a play with some ideas of how you could use that large sea effect stamp to create some pine trees to make your very own forest. So that was good fun. I think we have definitely earned our breakfast now and another cup of tea. So thank you ever so much for joining me this morning. It's been lovely to have you with me, and we should be back, all being well, on Monday morning to be able to play with something else. Who knows what that will be, but in the meantime, have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you all next week.